America, the world needs an economy that brings prosperity to all. But people in developing nations can only dream of this. Most are now so deeply indebted that repayment is nearly impossible. Under this crushing debt burden, developing nations not only cannot provide for their own people's needs, but they are selling their forests, their fields, their oil, and their minerals faster than nature can regenerate them, to raise cash to pay their debts. Many are creating deserts of their nations instead of building schools, roads, and infrastructure. This short-term resource depletion is disastrously selling the natural inheritance of the world's children. But these nations have little choice, with debt financiers hounding them for repayment. At the same time, the financiers who loaned the money to these nations are themselves in jeopardy, as global currency and financial markets are dangerously fragile. Markets now seesaw wildly, with the potential for the financial collapse of entire markets and currencies. The US dollar itself has lost 35% of its value in just the past 4 years. A further major decline in the value of the US dollar would damage the global economy and could force the United States into an economic recession or even a depression. In order to stabilize this fragile and dangerous situation, while providing a consistent source of funding for global development, the United States proposes 2 measures. First, at my direction, the Secretaries of Treasury and State, with the chairman of the private Federal Reserve Bank, will shortly convene an international conference to create a single and stable global reserve currency. We propose that this new global reserve currency be used to provide stability for all national currencies. The European Union, Japan, China, India, Brazil, and South Africa have already agreed to support this new reserve currency. This new and global reserve currency will be administered by a new entity that we propose to call the Global Public Trust. With the new stability created by a single reserve currency, it will be less likely that individual national currencies will fail. Those listening tonight in the financial and banking sectors of the US and overseas, please take note. You, better than anyone, know that the US and the nations of the world need currency stability now. Second, in order to finance part of the costs of human development and the restoration of a stable global environment, my administration proposes that the international community create a new system of tiny 1-cent taxes on the large international transactions originating within wealthy nations. I know that nobody likes new taxes, but let me assure you that you will like even less the consequences of planet-wide disasters if we do not stabilize international currencies and adequately fund global needs so that poverty and resource depletion do not again degenerate into war. Therefore, my administration proposes that all nations join to levy tiny 1-cent taxes on the use of our shared common resources. 1 cent per pound of carbon emissions into our shared atmosphere. 1 cent per $100 of international currency transferred. 1 cent per 1,000 miles of international transport distance. Now, here is a beautiful result. By taxing international transport distance, we will strongly promote American-made durable goods, automobiles, and food. With this new demand for locally produced goods, our economy will be stimulated and our country will be able to comply with US and international laws by progressively eliminating damaging trade tariffs. Using the income from these tiny 1-cent taxes, the Global Public Trust will pay poor nations annually to protect their natural resources by not developing them.